Welcome to Man Talk Real Talk, where we have a special guest with us. I'm going to call this guy Superman because he's absolutely brilliant. Every time I speak to him, he fills me with so much wisdom, but he fills me with joy and happiness as well. He must have been a comedian in his former life. This man has got a podcast called Goals Do Come True. He's called the Goals Guy, a motivational speaker, he's an author, he's a mentor. Okay, and he's just an all-round good man. He was £120,000 in debt in 2010, and in 2020, he became a millionaire. You really do want to listen in and tune in to what he's got to say. Without further ado, I want to introduce to you Mr. Doug Bennett. Welcome to the show, Doug. How are you doing today?
Well, Des, first off, thanks for having me on. You don't know what you've let yourself in for, or neither do I, actually. I'm normally interviewing people on my podcast. So this is a nice little turnaround, and to be grilled by a consummate professional like yourself. Thanks for the intro. Yeah.
You're welcome, brother. You're welcome. Tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us about who Doug Bennett actually is.
I'm just an ordinary guy. I was known as Bones at school because I was just this skinny kid that sat at the back of the class taking the information in, right? There's nothing extraordinary about me. And this is, I think, the thing that a lot of people probably don't appreciate. I mean, I appreciate the pedestal that you've put me on. I really do. And I, I do want to be adored. It's one of my favorite songs by Stone Roses, I think. But goals is one of the most important things. It's the E+R=O equation that we were talking, or that you mentioned there, event plus reaction equals outcome. We'll go into that a little bit because that makes me calm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I sent a questionnaire out to like 20 or 30 people when I was trying to find my unique ability. And we all have a unique ability, and it's part of the strategic coach program is find your unique ability. And so I asked 20 people, it's like, what words would you use to describe Doug? And calm was all the way through it. And
I would say debonair.
Well, that's very, very, very kind. But the calmness comes from the E+R=O. All right. And so we'll delve into that a little bit. And I think we should, because it's very, very important. It makes a huge difference. That and goals, those two things will make a difference to your life for sure. So E stands for event. Events happen. Now, sometimes we can have a bit of an influence on the event before it happens, right? But fairly often it happens, right? An event happens. And then the +R is your reaction. Now, if an event happens to you and you predominantly have negative reactions to all of the events that happen, you end up being pretty miserable as a person and unhappy, right? If, however, your reactions to events is more positive in its nature, then you will have more positive outcomes. So life will look rosy and you'll be able to see it through tinted glasses. And it is just simply a choice. We all react very, very quickly. I don't. I just don't. It's like I let the things wash over me and be calm. And it takes practice, but I'm calm about things. And then it's like, right, okay, this has happened. So what can we do about it? First off, is it the end of the world? No. If it is the end of the world, we can't do anything about it, and it's the end of the world, right? And there's a lot of things that go on in this world that we cannot influence. Again, if you can't influence it, why spend any energy on it? I can't do anything about.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about Russia's invasion of Ukraine or anything that's going on in the Middle East, right? I can't do anything about it. Now, people will say, yes, but Doug, that's not very worldly, is it? Well, it's like, well, I can't do anything about it. Now, what I can do is I can do things more locally that might spread out. Okay, so being kind to my neighbors and reasonable to my neighbors and to my family and my wider community and sharing positivity, right? That can have an effect locally. And that's normally all you can affect, all right? So I don't get hung up with what's going on in the world. If somebody presses a button, all right, I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to be able to go out there and stop anything happening, all right? And I don't have any influence on it. So to be fair, I'm not going to spend a lot of energy on it because I can't do anything about it. So I save a lot of energy in that regard because it's like when I don't watch the news, if there's something going on that I need to know about, it will come to me. If it's enough of an importance, it will come to me. So I'm aware stuff's going on in, Israel, Palestine. I'm aware that Trump's making a dick of himself. And I'm aware that, Putin's like, is he really alive? I don't know. But, it's like, well, I can't do anything about those things. So I'm not going to use any energy on it. So I only use my energy on things that affect me directly or where I can do something about an event to maybe help whoever the event happens to have a positive experience out of that. But again, that's my thing.
The event that happened in your life, which seems to be quite major, and I don't want to harbour on it, but the fact that you
look, it really broad shoulders. Water off a duck's back, okay? I've written about it, so you don't need to worry. You don't need to pussyfoot, all right? Okay,
no problem.
You're amongst friends.
Brilliant, thank you for that. The event that seemed to be most very poignant for you is the fact that you were £120,000 in debt. Okay,
I don't want to talk about it, Ray. Really. No, it's fine. Carry on.
This guy is very dangerous today. He's very dangerous. We've been having this banter for the last few calls that we've been on, so he's very dangerous. The pause there was, I said something wrong.
Yeah, no, nothing's off the table, honestly.
So the event in itself, for a lot of people, would be catastrophic. How did you react to being in that situation, and explain a bit of the outcome that you got, which has led to you being who you are now and where you are now, positioned where you are now. So just explain a little bit of that, because that's quite important.
Yeah. First off, a financial advisor being 120 grand in debt is not a good thing, is it?
No, absolutely not.
Not a great starting point, but there is a little bit of back history as to how it developed. Okay.
So explain that then, please.
So November 2006, my mum died. And she died of cancer. 12 weeks later, in February 2007, my dad died. So he died of a broken heart. It's clear because, his purpose at that point. Now, he had health issues and all the rest of it. But I think, I think people decide when they're done, all right, on this planet. They just, but they were 64 and 63. Well, my mum was 63 and my dad was 64. So that's no age, right?
No, that's very young.
Very, very young in that regard. And I'm 62 now, coming on 63. So it's like, it is, So I have a different philosophy about life as a consequence of that. But so I got my inheritance. I bought a big house. I pushed the mortgage as far as I could. That was in 2007. Of course, in 2008, the global financial crisis came. Okay. Now, I was a mortgage broker predominantly at that time. 2007, I was doing probably 10 mortgages a month. I was doing the associated life insurance, because if you've got a mortgage, you should have life insurance.
Yeah.
If you love your family, you should have life insurance. If you don't love your family, don't bother, but you're a bit of an arsehole. Okay? It's quite simple in my philosophy. All right? If you care about people, you have life insurance, you make sure that they're going to be okay. And I only said it like that so I can cut it out and use it and send it out as a clip. But so I was doing the mortgages and I was doing the life insurance, right? And that was 10 a month. In 2008, the global financial crisis, I did about 15 mortgages in the whole year. So it's about a tenth of the business I was doing in the previous year. And of course, I'd taken on a big mortgage because things were cool, and I pushed myself. Yeah. And my ex-wife to be had seen this lovely house, and so of course I wanted to give her everything that she ever wanted. So we bought the big house. Anyway, I started robbing Peter to pay Paul. The tax man wanted his share of the money that I'd earned the year before when I had no money coming in. So, lots of lessons contained within that. Yeah. It's like, don't spend all your money. If you're an entrepreneur, it's like, don't spend the money because he wants his share. Damn him. Not sure what he does with it exactly, but anyway, we'll move on. Rachel from accounts is not really great, is she? That sort of thing. Anyway, so I was up against it. So it was just, I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and by 2000 and late 2010, I was 118 grand in debt. Now, I'm always honest with my clients. I had my starting point with the conversation that I have with my clients is, right, do you want me to be honest or diplomatic? Right. And then they all say, oh God, Doug, yeah, of course I want you to be honest. And it's like, can you handle the honesty? That's the point. All right. Because if I'm honest with you, I don't hold, I'm going to tell you that if you don't want life insurance, you're not a very, very nice person. I don't want to be more concerned about your family than you are. It's that sort of thing. So that's where my honesty comes in. Yeah. So I've always been honest with people, and I was part of a network. And they could, I hadn't had any complaints. I've been 30 years in the business, no complaints about the business that I've done. My life insurance policies that I arranged, I wasn't selling them willy-nilly. They were sold properly. So my persistency level, you get paid commission if you sell life insurance, right? Yeah. My persistency level was in excess of 99%, which meant that, 1 in 100 policies might go by the by, right? So my network were happy to support me through this because no complaints, persistent, right? So I went for an IVA. All right. So as close as bankruptcy as you can get, but still being able to trade within financial services. And I was looking back over my previous history. And this is something as entrepreneurs we forget to do sometimes, right? We have a period where we're doing something that works really, really well. And then we stop doing it. Right. And it's like, oh my, that was a linchpin of my business. And, everybody bought from me because I said these few things and your presentation was sweet. And then all of a sudden you stop doing it. And so sometimes you have to look back and think, right, what was the good stuff that I was doing at that time previously when I was successful that, made a difference, because you can learn from your past. All right. So, what I did is I found this little notebook. Okay.
The red notebook.
The red notebook.
I've heard about it.
Right. You've heard about it. Right. So the red notebook.
Yep.
2004. So 6 years previous, I was writing my goals out daily. Like all entrepreneurs, we get suckered into the new shiny object that we want to go for. So this little notebook, which I'd written the goals down for a consistent period, right? I think, 20 odd days, maybe 30 days. Or maybe I missed a couple of days, but I went back to it. But I'm handwriting my goals, right? And I got this from Brian Tracy.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm handwriting my goals. and you write them down daily, and you don't look at the ones that you wrote the day before. It's a set of 10 goals. 10 goals. 5 goals to start with, and then build up to 10 goals.
Okay.
And I'll read a few of them out so that you can get a feeling for the type of the goal, and also the way it needs to be framed to work most effectively. Okay. So I found the notebook, right? And I went through and I achieved 10. Well, it was either 9 or 10 out of the goals that I'd written down. So there was one that I hadn't achieved. But I'd written all of these goals down and I'd achieved pretty much 90%.
That's impressive.
Okay. So then I thought, actually, that worked quite well. Maybe I should pick it up again. And that's what I did. I started writing my goals out again. But let me, I'll put my glasses on.
Let me just reaffirm that. So daily, every day, you write down 10 goals.
Yeah.
Or you wrote down 10 goals.
Yeah.
And then done it day by day by day by day.
Yeah.
And didn't look at what you wrote down the day before.
Yeah. And there's a reason that you don't look at the ones that you wrote before. Because what happens is there'll be a goal that comes in that somebody's mentioned something to you and you think, oh, that would be a good goal, right? So you write it down on that day. But the following day, it doesn't make it because you were only reminded there's an idea and it actually was somebody else's goal.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
that makes
your goal.
sense. Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't get the list. Now, the reason that you carry on writing them down, because by the end of it, you want to be writing down the exact same goals every single day, because that's what happens. The good goals, they're like cream. They rise to the top. Now, you're probably not old enough to remember when they delivered milk to the doorstep. All right.
Yes, I do.
And they used to have gold top. Yeah, and you know the gold top. The gold top. It was like always the birds always picked the gold top cream, because they wanted the cream. All right. Well, the cream rises to the top. So your goals that are really important to you, they're the creamy goals. They rise to the top. So they'll be the first ones that you write. Okay. But when you've got your consistent goals, and then you can do something about it. You can start planning them. You can reverse engineer the goal so that you can create the pathway and the route to achieving the goal. You don't want to be spending energy on a goal that's somebody else's goal. And you don't want to be spending energy on a goal that just flits into your brain, but doesn't stick there. So that's why you do it for a period of time so that you know exactly
how long would you do that for? What
Right?
type of period of time would you do that for?
2 or 3 weeks, or if you get to the stage fairly quickly where you're actually writing exactly the same ones every single day without cheating, without looking at the ones the day before, they're your core goals. And there might be 5 that are your core goals, or 8, right? But don't go any more than 10. And it's a simple sentence, because once you've got the simple sentence sorted and you've told your subconscious what it is that you want to achieve, all right, and there's a way to do that too. Once you've told your subconscious and they're embedded in there, then you can create a plan for each of the goals.
Okay.
But you don't want to create a plan for a goal that's a willy-nilly goal that's only lasted for a day, because you're using up energy. And as you know, I don't like to use up energy.
I've established that one now, Doug. So give us some examples of these goals in there.
Okay. And I'm going to share one that, all the while it was going through, this one's quite a personal one, but, and then I'll explain.
Okay.
I'll save it for the end. All right. And then, so first one here, I earn £100,000 per annum.
Okay.
Nice, simple, straightforward figure. Everybody in the whole wide world wants to do 10K months. All right. 100K, 8333.333 recurring. All right. But, it's close to 10K months.
Yeah.
Right. So 100 grand per annum. Now that goal served me for quite a period of time, because first off, it was 100 grand turnover. Then it was 100 grand net profit. Then it was 100 grand on my tax return. Now, of course, to get 100 grand on your tax return, your net profit's got to be higher than that. And to get a net profit of 100 grand, your turnover has got to be higher than that, because you will have expenses that erode it. But the 100K, I call it the 100K club, and I mention it in my book, Think Simple, Win Big. Having 100K as a starting point to start with is not out of the question for most people. If you're an entrepreneur and you've got your own business, and also if you work hard enough for somebody else, you can earn that sort of money and you get yourself educated and the like. There's varying sizes, okay? The next one is, I do not sweat over problems.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
E+R equals O.
Say that again. I do
not sweat over problems.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
I am an excellent timekeeper.
Okay. Simple, very, very simple. I was expecting them to be very expansive, but carry on.
I own a Harley Davidson 1200 custom Sportster. And I had the picture of the bike that I wanted on my iPad, predominantly to remind me every day that I wanted it, but also to let my wife know that it was coming. Because if she borrowed my iPad, the 1200 custom Sportster would come up on the homepage. So she knew that it was coming.
That's a brilliant one.
I do not owe any money on credit cards. I do not have any loans. I own one investment property. I own a Mercedes sports car. I have a house that I am proud of. I have completed the London Marathon. Now, this is how I know the goals were written in 2004, because I started training for the London Marathon in 2004 and I got my medal for it in 2005.
Fantastic. Okay. Great achievement.
Yes. And puts you up there. And to be fair, if you do not have a physical disability, you know, and again, that's broad brush because there's a heck of a lot of people with physical disabilities that have run the London Marathon. Yeah. But for most people, if you decide that you want to run the London Marathon, you can run the London Marathon.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
If you decide. I had a guest on my podcast last week, right? She started by going for a walk in the fresh air and she enjoyed it so much that she started running. And then she completed a marathon. And then she completed an ultra marathon.
Right.
And this was just from walking. Mm-hmm. Right. And it was over an 18-month period. Okay. So you don't have to be massively fit because over the time it would take you to achieve the fitness level that you needed to run a marathon.
Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. You will lose the weight. And you've got something to go for. So, you know, that was one. Now, the thing is, I could run 200 yards and then I would throw up when I started training. You know, I was not fit. I was driving, you know, anything from 45 to an hour and a half, 45 minutes to an hour and a half to get to work. I was sat behind a desk all the time. Like, you know, it was like I was not fit. It was pretty sedentary lifestyle. But then within 18 months, I had the medal.
Right.
So the big one here is I am very happily married to Bonnie. Now, Bonnie is my soon-to-be ex-wife. We were in the final bits, okay? Now, we were together for 23 years. And I always had it a goal that I am very happily married to her. But I was using up all of my energy to make her happy and not me happy. I was running out of energy. So there's valuable lessons that I learned from there is like, one, you cannot make anybody else happy. They decide whether they're going to be happy or not.
That's massive.
If we go back to E+R equals O, her reaction to most things was negative.
Right.
So I was picking her back up from all of this stuff all of the time and I ran out of energy.
Why is that so important? Well, I think you said something there. You said you're using all your energy up to make the other person happy. But so many times in life, we are not happy in that whole process. So why do you think that's important? Because a lot of people, they tend to overlook that. They don't actually look into that. Am I happy? Well, it's kind of like a people-pleasing kind of thing. Mentality. So just expand on that a little bit more.
Okay. Let me just feel my headphones moving down a little bit. And I hold my hair in place. So, you know, I've got to make sure that I know you don't have that problem. But,
hey,
you know,
be careful. Be careful now. Watch it now, brother.
So they say, when you go on an airplane, the safety briefing is put your own oxygen mask on first before you go to help other people.
Yeah.
And I think that encapsulates it completely in that regard. And the other thing is that, I wasn't me. I wasn't Doug. You've experienced Doug. And all of that stuff was held in. We go out. I couldn't be flamboyant and, fun and take the rise out of people. I wasn't to draw attention to us. I wasn't to, embarrass us in any way, shape or form. So I wasn't me either. Mm-hmm. The pivotal moment for me, to be fair, there's a couple and they're all linked in a way. Just before my 60th birthday, I had high PSA readings.
Okay.
For people listening, it's prostate. Yep. It's the early signs of possible prostate cancer. So, I had the proverbial
right
up the bottom. Okay. All right. I didn't enjoy that much. I went and I thought, anyway, no, we'll move on. So then I had a biopsy. Right. Yeah. Then I had a biopsy. That was one of the most uncomfortable things ever. And it's a message, guys. It's like, get readings done. When you get to a certain age, get your readings done. I went to a local golf course and they were doing the tests for a small donation. Right. All right. So I just got it done and the results came back and it was like, and a mate of mine said, you probably should get it done, Doug. And so I did. Anyway, so I had this biopsy. And there, the guy said, look, with the readings and everything that we got, there's a 21% chance that you could have prostate cancer. Now, at that point, it's all clear, just because I don't want people crying in their, coffee or listening to this. So it's all clear. So I'm okay. So I'm around for a little while longer, which is all good. But it made me think I'm mortal.
Right.
Because up until that point, it's like, you drink what you want, eat what you want, you skip your exercise potentially, and then you get a reminder that you're actually mortal. And this is coming up to my 60th birthday. So then I realized, right, okay, there's things potentially out there to get me. So what we're going to do is, well, I was thinking, right, 60, if I live to 80, I've lived 75% of my life. Right?
Yep.
I've got 25% left. Do I want the last 25% of my life to be like the last 4 or 5%? Despite doing everything that I possibly could in my relationship, my wife didn't appear happy. Right?
Right.
So I made the decision to leave. 23 years we've been married, been together, I think 4 or 5 years before then. But it was a big decision because it's like, I wasn't being me. It's a shame. There's lots of little things that were said in the thing that was like, you don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. So I made the decision to leave. So I had the prostate cancer scare and then the, separation. And then another thing that helps me seize the day and enjoy every moment that I'm on the planet is I made a decision to go to Budapest on my Harley Davidson.
Okay.
For a rally. It was the 120th Harley Davidson rally because they were formed in 1903 and it was 2023. And so I was going with about, I think there was 15 of us, 15. There were 2 groups going. One group went one way and another group, the group I was in, went in another way. And I was testing my motorbike out. So I just went flying past everybody because we're on the Autobahn. There's no speed limit on the Autobahn. And I'm looking at the speedo and it's saying 108 miles an hour.
Okay.
And then there's this thing called a death wobble, right? And it's when the handlebars start moving like this.
Right.
Right. And they get worse. Okay. Now, apparently, some of the things that you're supposed to do is let go of the handlebars so that they settle down on their own. Unlike you're going to do that at 108 miles an hour. or speed up so they settle down. Well, like you're going to do that at 108 miles an hour. So the last thing I saw on the speedo was 93 miles an hour when I came off my bike.
Wow.
Right? I should be dead. Really.
Wow.
If I'd hit the central reservation, hit another car or anything, I would be dead.
Whoa.
Okay. Now, I broke my foot in 3 places. I smashed 7 ribs. I mean, proper broke 7 ribs. Smashed my shoulder blade, cracked my shoulder socket, and stuck in Germany because it was on the German Autobahn. All my mates left. One mate stayed with me and stayed around overnight, got me a new phone and stuff like that. But then he was on the way to the rally. This was like 3 days in of a 14-day trip. So he shot off and caught everybody up. So I was left in Germany. Now, of course, I mentioned earlier that I've been to school in Germany, so I had the smatterings of German and Google Translate. And it was out in the sticks, so none of the people in the hospital spoke English. The food was diabolical, absolutely disgusting. And it turns out I didn't have any insurance. My holiday insurance wasn't valid.
Wow.
I had premium cover. I rang them up and I said, I had a bit of an accident. I'm in the hospital. I've spent $5,000 on CT, x-rays, all the ambulance and all the other, because you have to pay it all. And I need to get back. And they're going to operate on my foot on Friday. They weren't going to do anything with my shoulder blade. And you can't do anything with ribs. They just heal themselves. But my shoulder blade, they said, we can't do anything with that because it's going to need more work and you need to be back in the UK so that they can carry on with the follow-up. We're not going to start something and then, not be able to finish it. So I'd racked up €5,000 in medical at this point, and they were talking about operating on my foot, which was going to be another whatever it was. And I didn't have any insurance.
Wow.
And the reason I didn't have any insurance is because in the small print, they said, so what size motorbike were you riding when you had your accident? I said, it's a 1250. They said, you're only insured up to a 125.
Oh.
These little rental bikes that you get and the scooters and mopeds that you get when you're on holiday, you're insured if you rent one of those out, but not if you're riding a proper motorbike, let's say. So mine was 1250. So they said, we'll send you the excerpt and the cutting from the bit in your policy that says that we're not insuring you and you're on your own.
That's very helpful.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Fortunately, and I would recommend, I think I had a GHIC or EHIC card, European Health Insurance card, or a global health insurance card with me. And, it was fortunately, it was in my wallet. I had carried it with me and I handed that over and that got them to do my foot. I was 9 days in hospital and my hospital bill was €90, €10 per day. So I advocate 2 things. Check your insurance policy, certainly if you ride a motorcycle, and cheapest isn't always the best, although I have paid for the premium and global cover and America cover and all that. Check your insurance and also get a general health insurance card or global health insurance card.
That's a major event. So what was the outcome? So your reaction to it, and what was the outcome?
Well, the event happened. I'm lying on the motorway, looking up the sky. Am I allowed to use expletives? Or is it a clean show?
No,
You'd rather
clean
not.
show. Yeah.
I went, flip me, you're one lucky fellow. Or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right? Something like, I'm looking up at the clouds and I went, flip me, you're one lucky fellow. And it's like, okay, but you're alive. And you really should be dead. You really should be dead. And then, I got back, put in the claim for the motorbike. Mate, a very, very good friend of mine flew out to Germany and wheelchaired me back all the way across from Germany back to the UK by train, because I couldn't fly because my ribs were smashed, so I couldn't fly because my rib cage wasn't up for the pressure.
That Harley Davidson was one of the goals, right?
No, because I had the 1200 Custom Sportster, and then later on, if we were to go through the goals, which we might come back to, depends how long you want to listen to me. The Pan America, because that was the bike that I was on, it's more of an adventure bike. It's still a Harley, but it's an adventure bike. So it's a bit like the BMW GS 1200 GS, I think it is. So you can go off-road on it. But I had two bikes at that time. No, in fact, I'd sold. One of my goals was to have a Harley Davidson Fat Boy. I'd moved up from the 1200 Custom to the Fat Boy, and I've got the Fat Boy now. But I sold it to a friend, and then I bought it back off him once I'd written off the Pan America, because I'd sold it to him in March, and then wrote my bike off in June, which meant I'd gone from 2 Harley Davidsons to no Harley Davidsons. But then I bought another one. I bought another one in November. So I came off my bike in the middle of June, and I bought a new Harley in November, like five months later. It's my happy place. It's where I love to be. My wife didn't like the Harley. She didn't like me being on the bike. She didn't like that whole thing. So, as I decided this was my big thing, I'm not about 3 months afterwards to give up biking, because it's like, well, that was one of our big issues, along with many other things.
Yeah,
I'm sure she must have had a voodoo doll or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Well, hey, let's not go there.
Doing a disservice. Yeah, disservice. Yeah.
So this is Man Talk Real Talk. Talk to the men about the importance of being happy within themselves. Because a lot of men, we kind of have this Superman syndrome. We do everything for everyone else, and then we don't do enough for ourselves. And everybody else is happy, and we're drained and tired and unhappy. But we put on this mask to let everybody else think that we're happy. So talk to the men about that scenario and how you dealt with yourself going through a divorce, coming out of the other side of it in a much better place by the sounds of it, because you are able to now process and focus on you.
It starts on the focus with you. Yeah. And this isn't selfish. You are the most important person on the planet.
That's a big statement. That's a massive statement.
We all are. In our world, we are the most important person on the planet. I hold my fist up and I say, right, this is me. And then I spin my hand around it. And this is the universe revolving around me, right? I'm the center of my universe. Okay. And the most important thing is for me to be happy. And the only way that you can be happy, in my opinion, and it will make a big help to most people's mental health, is if you get some goals for yourself.
That makes perfect sense.
You've got to have your own purpose. You've got to have your own drive. If you haven't got anything to wake up for in the morning, why would you bother waking up? Why would you get out of bed? You've got to have something to get out of bed for. Some people, it's like their significant other is enough to get out of. If they give them everything that they could possibly need, then happy days. But, I think very often, unfortunately, we drift into relationships. I'm going to go broad brush, and I'm not going to make any apologies for this. I don't think. It's like, it is anything for a quiet life.
Ain't that the truth?
Right?
Yep.
And so we put up with a lot of stuff for a quiet life. The joke in my profession, if I'm presenting to a couple, right?
Yeah.
85% of all buying decisions in a relationship, when it comes to a mortgage or life insurance or any of that stuff, 85% of all buying decisions are made by the woman, and this is predominantly a heterosexual couple we're talking about. I know, because we've got the BPC and all the other bits and pieces, but 85% of all buying decisions are made by the woman in the relationship, and because he wants a quiet life, she has control of the other 15%. I've talked to women about stuff because they make the decisions very often. They're the ones that are emotionally led. They're the ones that are concerned about, if anything happens to you, what's going to happen to me, Johnny and Mary, right? They're the ones that are emotionally connected to these things. So because we want a quiet life, right, we go with the flow. And if you're not making decisions on things, if you're not, if you're deferring to your significant other for stuff, and babe, anything you want, whatever you want to do, yeah, okay. It's like, if you keep doing that and she's making all of the decisions, why does she need you around? So you have got to take control. You've got to take control, and you've got to make some decisions. Now, I made the mistake in my previous, that I'm not that, you can probably tell I'm quite relaxed about life, right? I really am not that bothered about where we go to eat and anything. I'm not really bothered about anything. So, babe, whatever you want, what do you want to do? Let's make you happy. Right. No, I want you to choose. Okay. Well, I really fancy a pizza. Yeah. But think of all that bread, right? And all the garlic and stuff like that. No, I don't really fancy that. Well, okay. So we could do a Chinese then. Well, Chinese. You see, it's got that monosodium glutamate in it, and you feel full, and you haven't eaten all of the food, and so no, I don't really fancy that. Okay, well, how about an Italian then? Should we do an Italian? It's like, a woman says, does this make my bum look big? Right? And you say, no, it was the pizza and the pasta that did that. It's like, it's not your clothes. Oops. Right? But, oops. Right. No. I mean, you wouldn't get away with that, but tongue in cheek. But the point, the point about it is, you're not going to say that. You're definitely not. But it's like,
if you're brave enough.
So we've got, yeah. No man is brave enough, right? No man is brave enough. But you have to be happy. Yeah. Otherwise, you get fed up, right? And it's like, I'm doing this because I want you to be happy, and you're not happy. What's the point? And she's going, well, what's the point? I've got to make all the decisions. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing the other. Well, what do you bring to the party? Typically a salary, but anyway. But if they get divorced, they can have most of that anyway. So, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter.
Of course not.
So, I don't know if that helps. You've got to decide what it is that you want out of life. You've got to have your goals. Now, you can decide whether you're going to share them with your significant other or not. Right? If you share some goals, if they're big and scary, and we talk about big, hairy, audacious goals. If you have a big goal to do something and you share it with people and they poo-poo it, very often it's one, because they're not brave enough to have the goal themselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or secondly, they're protecting you, or they're trying to protect you. They don't want you to get hurt or disappointed or whatever. So you've got to, one, have the courage of your convictions, but you've got to write the goals. You might have noticed those goals, they're written as if I've already completed them. Yeah. I have completed the London Marathon. And there's a reason for that. There's a scientific reason for that, which I'm happy to elaborate on.
Go into the mindset of that, because the mentality that people take when they're working towards a goal, it's important to understand that, because what a lot of people tend to do is they write this thing down, like I said, a big, hairy, audacious goal. They write it down And then they think, well, I've done what I need to do now. I've written it down. But what else is involved in order to bring that goal to life?
Yeah, well, so many people out there saying about the law of attraction, you think it and it will happen. All you've got to do is sit on a beach with your thumb and forefinger held together and then go,
and it magically appears.
Magically appears. What they forget to remind people about is there's this thing called work that goes alongside it. You just can't manifest everything. You still got to move towards things. And there's no harm in talking about your goals and repeating the goals and even, reading them to yourself. And that would be like a little bit crazy. I mean, I can remember back in a job, it's about 20 years ago, I had these 4x3, 4 centimeters by 3 centimeters cards in my top pocket of my shirt. And on there were my affirmations and things that I wanted to achieve and all the rest of it. And this was like 20 years ago. Now, I got the Michael taken out of me like you wouldn't believe. Oh, Doug and his cards. But I'm still the top salesman every year. I mean, it's like, take it, fellas. You can take the Michael if you like, but I'm the one with the bigger paycheck.
Right. So you use those affirmations to prepare your mind, in the morning or whenever you read them, to make sure that you are ready to receive what you've actually written down.
Absolutely. And say the point of the goals and writing them down as if you've already achieved them is because you're feeding your subconscious, right? You're feeding your subconscious. Your subconscious is there. It's a magnificent part of your brain, underutilized by so many, which is such a shame. But anyway, your subconscious is there. It gets fed an instruction. I have, I own, I earn, right? And the reality doesn't quite marry up. So it causes this dissonance between the reality and the instruction that you're giving it.
Right.
And it pulls you towards it. But the other thing that it does is it hunts out the information that you need to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So an example, and this is a recent example that I've established. Everybody's heard about the new red car thing. Yep. Right. You buy a new
yellow car.
You buy a new car, a yellow car, whatever. Yeah. And then you drive it off the forecourt, and every other person is driving a yellow car or a red car or almost the same car as you. You bought a pretty unique Mini Cooper S, and then all of a sudden all you see is Mini Cooper S's. Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is a simpler one, which helps frame why writing the goals are important. Now, let's imagine, Des, that it's your birthday last weekend, right? And your wife and kids all pulled together and they bought you a camera because you decided that you were going to take up photography and you wanted better quality photos than the ones that you could do on your iPhone. Other phones are available. But anyway. So you've got this brand new camera. Right? Now, you're sent down the shops to do the shopping and you're walking through the supermarket and you go past the magazine section. Now, the magazine section has been there for as long as the supermarket's been there. So it could be 10 or 15 years, right? The magazines are changed either weekly or fortnightly or monthly. And you've never seen them before. But now as you're walking down, you notice all these camera photography magazines. Now, they've been there every single week that you've walked past there, but now all of a sudden you see them, all right? Because they're important to you at that point. Now, your brain gets fed with, I don't know what the statistics are, but as thousands upon tens of thousands of pieces of stimuli every single day.
Yeah, it's about 60 to 70,000.
And its job, I was going to say 70,000. So 60 to 70,000 pieces of stimuli every single day, right? Now, if your brain processed every single one of those, I am sure it would explode, right? Just the heat.
Yep.
Right? So what it does is it lets the information go past, right? Okay. That's not important. That's not important. That's not important. Right. A mum, brand new mum, here's her baby snuffling 2 doors away or 2 rooms away, right? Instant alert. She's in there before you know it, checking, right? But there's all this other stuff going on, but she hears the baby, right? And that's the same with your goals. If you've written your goals down as if you've already achieved them, that information, that subconscious information is there, and then the stuff comes past you, and it's the stuff that's been there all the time. But all of a sudden, your brain goes, "Whoa, stop! That piece of data there, right? You need to check that out, because I think that phone call that you've just had, that piece of data that you just overheard whilst you're at a networking thing, right? It's telling you this information is important to you." Now, it can't stop and find the information if you haven't told it what it is that you're looking for.
Right. So
does that work?
That's absolutely brilliant. And I really hope that the people listening in understand there's method in everything that we do, especially when it comes to writing down these goals, and the importance of affirmations as well. Affirmations are kind of reinforce and prepare your mind for what you want. You can actually prepare your day. I read out a statement in the mornings and I actually speak to my day. So I speak into my day. Some people call it woo-woo. I don't call it woo-woo. I call it, I'm speaking into that. I'm setting my day up. What you're actually explaining here is really, really vitally important for people to understand that if you use it in the right way, you can have what you say you want to have. I'm really glad that we brought this particular subject matter up, because a lot of people kind of drift through life. There's a statistic that says that 95% of people don't actually have any goals. And the 5% of people that do, the 95% work for those 5% of people. That kind of brings all of it together, and it makes you understand that, look, if you've got something that you want to achieve in life, as Doug is quite clearly saying, write it down. You know, read a book and it says, write the vision, make it plain so that he who follows it can run with it. You know, although it may take a little time to get there, stick with it, because it will happen. So I really am glad that you've brought that up and you've mentioned that, because you are the goals guy, you know, and it's important for the people listening out there to understand the significance, the mentality that goes with, you know, writing a goal and having a goal, a specific goal. A speaker that I used to listen to, he said, you can either be a meaningful specific or a wandering generality.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I was about to quote that. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, we're obviously thinking alike then.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It could be Jim Rohn.
Okay.
Could be Jim Rohn. Can't guarantee it. And I've got a couple of other little scary goal setting-y type things, because, you know, my 100K goal that I wrote in my book, okay, I've got to write some new affirmations. I've got my 3x5s. I've got my latest little goal book, because this is the original one from 2004. This is the original from 2004. But anyway, the 100K, I hit the 100K. So then I increased the goal to 200. Because, you know, if you're going to hit a goal, and you just double it, right? But it was still 200 turnover, 200, 200. And then I thought I was getting close to this. So I increased the goal. This was about 2018. So I increased the goal to 250,000. And my wife, ex-to-be, was doing my books. And she did my books for me. And all of the little bits of income that I all added together from the various different places came to £250,268. Wow. And the target was 250.
Right.
So having hit that, what did I do? I doubled it again. I went for 500. Okay. So I had 500 as a goal, and it's back to, that's the goal. I had a phone call in 2019, and a firm wanted to buy some of my business off me. You know, I was always being approached.
Right.
I was always being approached. It's like, would you like to come join our network and, you know, merge your firm and blah, blah, blah. But this firm, they just come in and said, we've got this thing that we're working on and we want to increase the size of our business. And the sentence triggered something, quick calculation, and I signed a deal with them. Right. And in 2019, they gave me 500,000. In 2020, they gave me 500,000. Right. And I'd written 500,000 as the figure. Okay. So, and you think, oh, it's £1 million, right? It's not enough money, people. It's not enough money.
Right.
Right. It's an interim goal. £1 million is not enough money these days to, you know, make a difference to your life. And as I say, I spent a fair old chunk of it, and now I'm getting divorced, so I'm giving away another fair old chunk of it. So
right.
It is, you know, that's my raison d'etre. You know, aside from not being killed on the motorway, I've obviously got a purpose, right? I'm here to share the love and motivate people and make a difference to their lives. So
yeah, that makes perfect sense. So what did it feel like? I mean, we've written this big audacious goal. Okay. Now you've achieved, and you've got the 500K, and then you've got another 500K. You've achieved the goal. What's it feel like? Describe the feeling.
This is the scary bit. I've achieved the goal. They talk about, you know, all the years that a gold medalist, and then they get the gold medal, and it's like, now what? Now what? You have to evolve, right? Yeah. You have to evolve. And as you're getting closer to things, you know, you move it out a little bit. You should celebrate. You should always celebrate. I mean, I think I did celebrate. You know, it was fair old amount of work done on the house, and you know, upgraded the motor and all of that sort of thing, and a few nice holidays, you know, just to celebrate. But you know, you throw in a new motor and decent work on your house, and £1 million doesn't go very far. Yeah, I've got new goals, but my goals are different now.
What is the goal? That's my next question. What is the goal now? You've achieved that massive goal. Okay, what is the goal now?
Yeah, I do want to make a difference to people with the planning that I do. Yeah. Okay, because I can make a difference to people. When I put a plan together for somebody and like they're working shifts and they're not enjoying their job, and you know, we put everything together, and it's like, well, actually, if you do this and you do that, you can give your notice in. Right. At 60, I had a couple fairly recently, a couple of women where it's like, actually don't have to work. That's why my planning is called the Work Optional Lifestyle Financial Plan. Work Optional Lifestyle Financial Plan, right? Because I want to demonstrate and show you when the day is that work is optional. So now you're working because you want to, not because you have to. If you could work because you wanted to, do you think it would, or you're done and it's like, you know, I've had enough of this, I can give up. And you can give your notice in and you work out your notice and that's it, you're done. Right? Do you think that takes a lot of stress out of your life, knowing that you're at that stage? Exactly.
Huge amount.
Exactly. So people, you know, can carry on working if they want to. So one of the girls, it's like, yeah, she's now, what she's done is she's applied. She gave her notice in straight away and she's applied for another job, which is a little bit nearer, lower salary, less hours, because she wants something to do. Yeah. It makes a huge difference. So if you're over 55 and you want to find out when work is optional and when that day is, you know, more than happy to have a chat.
Brilliant. Sounds great. Just on a final note, I've been saying this to you all along. This is not going to be just a one-off. Yeah, I can see this being, again, a series, you know, part 1, part 2, part 3, you know. Tell us about the book. Think Simple, Win Big.
So my first book was called Goals Do Come True. right, which is the name of my podcast. And that was my journey from the edge of bankruptcy to selling my business. And it's predominantly, it's all put together, and it's predominantly for my peers in the financial services industry. So I wrote it for them in the first instance. But then, you know, I'm reading through it and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, there's so much stuff in here that would serve the general populace, if you like.
Yeah.
Specifically, people that are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur or are in their early stages of being an entrepreneur.
Right.
Or, thinking's the big one, I think, because there's a lot of stuff involved in running a business. People think, well, I'm really good at this haircutting malarkey, or I'm really good at this, you know, selling stuff. I can sell till the cows come home, right? I think that might be a mixed metaphor in there, but anyway. So they decide that they're going to do it for themselves, not appreciating that, you know, cutting hair for somebody in a salon, you got the premises, you got the advertising, you got the receptionist, you got the, you know, you got everything else going on. All you got to do is turn up and cut hair.
Yeah.
Once you decide that you want to do it as a business, it's like, right, now you're the marketing person, right? You're the salesperson. Nobody likes doing that. Okay. You've also got to run the accounts.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got to run your own car. You know, there's so many factors about business. So Think Simple, Win Big is like, it's my journey. It's all the lessons that I've learned over the last 40 years. Of being in business. And it's an easy read. It's probably you could do it in one sitting in about 3 hours, I think. So it's not hard. The writing's quite big, and you know, there's a couple of pictures.
Okay. It sounds like my kind of book. Where can we find that book?
It is on Amazon. Think Simple, Win Big. It's how to build the business of your dreams with a few simple goals is the sub thingy. And I'm Doug Bennett, obviously. So it is available on Amazon in the UK and the States and anywhere else where your podcast goes out.
Okay. Brilliant. Excellent.
But I tell you what, I'll bring a copy to Inner Circle when I meet you next month.
Okay.
And I'll sign it for you. All right.
That'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
I'll sign it for you. There's only one proviso. When you've read it, I need a 5-star Amazon review. Any less than 5 stars, you're gonna spoil my 100% record. So don't bother. Okay, that's simple.
You got a deal there, brother. Cool. So listen, it's been really, really good talking to you. I just want to end on something that I'll call a quick fire round. Just some quick questions. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Films or books?
Books.
Books. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Morning time or evening time?
Morning.
Okay, one more. If you could sit with, this is not quick fire, I'm going to give you a bit of a deep dive now. If you could sit with 3 people of influence that you've looked at in your life and said, you know what, I'd love to go out for a meal with this person, that person, and that person, who would they be? And ask as many questions as you want to them.
Have they still got to be alive, or are we going to bring them back from the dead?
Either way.
Okay.
So you're going to draw on their wisdom. Jim Rohn. Okay.
Yeah, Jim Rohn. I did get to see him speak once, and it was incredible. That's a good question. That's a very, very good question. Thinking. Yeah, I think Angelina Jolie, just because I don't know where the conversation would go, but you know, that would be a very pleasant evening. Because she's a good-looking girl. Should be quite deep, this sort of thing. Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino, the movie maker extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Why him?
Because he directed my favorite film. My favorite film is Pulp Fiction.
Oh, okay. I know Pulp Fiction.
I really, really enjoy that film. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, yeah, quite a few times.
Yeah. Brilliant. Pulp Fiction or Warriors. I like Warriors from the 70s.
I remember Warriors. Yeah, I remember that one. Brilliant film. Mm-hmm. Come out to play.
Yeah. I'm gonna send you a picture. I'm gonna send you a picture separately, right? Because I've just been away for a Harley weekend. Right. And in Cirencester, and first night was a rock band, and second night it was a glam rock band. Okay, and so we had to dress. So I have got a Warriors jacket, the waistcoat. Okay,
yep,
so
I know one. Yeah.
So I had the Warriors jacket on, and then across my chest I said, "Come out to play." So I was bare chested. I had long hair and a bandana, and the sleeves that make you look like you got tattoos on your arms. I'm going to send you that picture.
You went all out,
I'll send you that picture. Yeah. Unfortunately, me and my girlfriend, we didn't turn up early enough because they were going to grant a prize to the best or the most appropriately or inappropriately dressed. And we didn't get there early enough to be included in the judging, but everybody came up and said, "You guys should have won." And that's me being more Doug. That was me being more Doug, because my girlfriend's like, "Doug, you do what you do. You do, Doug."
Do you? Yeah. That's beautiful, man.
You do you.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And she likes riding on the motorbike as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's learning to ride, and she likes the bike and all the rest of it. So many, it's seriously cool. Seriously cool.
That sounds like a match made in heaven.
Working on it.
Brilliant, man. Well, listen, Doug, it's been absolutely fantastic just listening to your stories, your wisdom, the message behind the man, just listening to everything that you've put together there. It's been absolutely brilliant. So one last couple of questions. Will you come back on again?
Yeah, I'll have a long think about what else I could share with you that might be as interesting as I've shared already. But yeah, we'll come up with something. More than happy to, mate.
Brilliant. How can people find you if they want to find you on social media and your website and so on? Just tell us how to find you, please, sir.
DougBennett.co.uk. That's not too hard. That's my main website. And Doug Bennett UK. And that's on Instagram, I think, and LinkedIn. Again, Doug Bennett. Got a fair old amount going on in LinkedIn at the moment, so that's the best place. I'll make sure that, I'll let you have my LinkedIn profile address so that you can bung it in the show notes. But it's the best place to find out what I'm up to, really.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, you've been listening to, I'm going to call you Sir Doug Bennett, the goals guy himself. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today. And I look forward to the next time we're able to speak as well on this platform. So thank you very much for your time. Really, really appreciate it, Doug.
No problem at all. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Brilliant. If you want to contact us on social media platforms, just go to Mastermind Academy UK Limited on LinkedIn, Instagram. You contact us on the www.mastermindacademy.co.uk and put your contact details on there and we'll contact you. Also on the website, you can actually download a free ebook on there, which is on communication skills. So every man needs to be able to communicate. So why not learn how to communicate effectively?
And we really, really want you to understand that we are here for you. This is a platform for you. Des and myself have come together and we want to help you. We really do want to help you. That comes from the heart. So Man Talk, Real Talk. We'll see you next episode. Bye for now.